Hey! You! Listening to this podcast right now! Do you want to hear a fucking podcast about anything and everything? Yeah. Like movies, music, television, and more?
Oh my god.
Well, you've come to the right place. Yes. Subscribe to Journey into Comics Network, and you get Podcastrophe, hosted by me, Dick. Why not throw a couple bucks to the Patreon? It's your choice. Yeah. This is a Podcastrophe.
That sounds so awesome.
The following is a Journey into Comics Network production.
To a nicer guy, it couldn't happen.
I am the man of the hour, the man with the power.
Diamonds are forever.
He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
And what you gonna do, Andre?
History beckons the Macho Man. Yeah.
The best there is, the best there was.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
2 words for ya.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Journey into Wrestling, episode 16 of season 2. This is DandyMania, the grand dandy of them all, on the dandiest stage of them all. This is our review of WrestleMania 34. Welcome to our show this week. A lot has gone down, so much to talk about over the course of the entire weekend, and of course, joining me to talk about this madness. Can you feel the madness, brother? The one and only Nate Phillips.
Bro, how is it going? That was amazing long intro, Brando. I'm glad to be back talking wrestling. I have watched so much wrestling since the past weekend, while also doing 10 hours worth of driving to and from Columbus, Ohio, and performing a show and all those fun things that go along with that, you know, and all the wrestling I watched, man, I'm jacked to be here and talking about it on DandyMania. This is a great occasion here, our first DandyMania event. But how are you doing, and how have you been enjoying the wrestling this past weekend?
I'm a little wrestled out. There's been when you think about it, like, the Hall of Fame was 4.5 hours.
Yep, NXT was 3 hours, almost 4 hours.
If you count the pre-show, which I didn't get a chance to watch all of NXT because I was kind of in and out. But of course, I did see it. And then, of course, Mania, a whopping 7 hours if you include the kickoff, which I got my own decisions, my own views on like that. But then Raw is 3 hours. SmackDown's another 2. Whew. Tell you what, man, I could use a break.
You didn't even talk about ROH Supercard of Honor that was 4 hours long.
I didn't have time to watch that.
I did. I did. Not that I had time. I made time and sleep deprived myself a little bit, but I digress. There was so much wrestling. I want to say that a couple takeaways here. It's cool to watch all these different wrestling events happen over the course of one weekend. It allows you to see different styles. You know, it's interesting to note, I think we talked about on the last episode, the list of banned moves over WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans because of the Louisiana Athletics Commission and whatnot. A lot of that came into play during Supercard of Honor and how they used that to tell their story. So overall, I thought the whole weekend was cool because it did show a lot of diversity in the different styles of wrestling and what can happen. And of course, there's nothing grander than WrestleMania. One thing I want to say right out of the gate in WrestleMania and get your thoughts on this, and we'll officially get down to business here in a minute, but this is just one thing that I want to remember to say to you before I forget. Interesting to note there were almost 0 backstage segments this year for WrestleMania, as in none, and there were no musical performances except for at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah, there was a live performance of an entrance, but other than that, there was the rumor that Kid Rock is getting inducted, so of course he's going to play the Undertaker to the ring. He wasn't even there. I guess after the Hall of Fame, he had to skip town because he had a cruise that he was going to do that was leaving on Monday. So he was like, or whatever. So he had to go and get ready for that. I guess he's got some sort of like concert cruise that he's kind of putting on. And so he's going to be doing that. And like the weekend truly starts with the Hall of Fame. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Hall of Fame.
No, but we do got to talk about it.
Absolutely. Props up to Devon for being absolutely hilarious.
God, he killed it. So funny.
He had me rolling. And as much as he had me rolling, like Mark Henry had me crying.
Oh, my God. Mark Henry's speech just had me in a ball of tears. Just like, oh, my God, man, this guy is... the great thing about that Mark Henry speech, to touch on it, is he fucked with us. Because he put the jacket, the retirement jacket on.
Yeah.
And, teased it. And I was like, oh, man, it'd be great to see him go with any number of guys that he mentioned there. He cashed some receipts to AJ Styles and whatnot. And, I don't know. Mark Henry is a kind of a legend in the game. Kind of a journeyman wrestler that finally got his opportunity when the business was in a really weird flux position in the WWE at that time, and he really did something with himself when he took that championship and took the character to a whole different level. And then, of course, looking at the fake retirement and how he beat the hell out of John Cena, Mark Henry's awesome. I want to ask you, did you hear the thing about the possible Goldberg thing? Is there any truth to this? Do you know?
You didn't say what it was. What is it?
Oh, I didn't know if it had stuck out. I felt like that was the lead-in, that if it meant anything, you would have said something. I heard there was a rumor, and there was a couple pictures, and I can't tell if the pictures are accurate to the timeline or whatnot, showing that a large number of people were leaving or had left during Goldberg's speech. And I just didn't know if there was any validity. I couldn't find any accuracy on that report.
Yes. No, those pictures were legit.
Damn.
The people on the floor, those are superstars and family and whatnot. That's what those seats are kind of reserved for. And the show is going so long, they have a lot of superstars have 5 a.m. presses where they get up and they just do press work all day. And so it is not uncommon for some people to leave before the show's over, because that's one reason why they've been trying to keep the shows from going so long. Not the fact that they don't have the all the time in the world to showcase the show on the network. It's like they have the performers in mind, especially when it used to be on Saturday and the next day was WrestleMania. Here are all these guys out there going to be performing tomorrow, and it's going on midnight if you're on the East Coast, and they're like, yeah. And now think about it. They've got to go, back to their hotel, chill out, relax, and go to sleep to get up, get ready. If they're doing press, they're doing press early. They got to be at the building probably around noon, 1 o'clock, if not earlier.
And then you're doing press all the way till hour or two before match time.
Well, that's when you're going over your match. You're going over what's going to happen. You're doing rehearsals for if you've got spots. You're meeting up with your opponent. You're the agent. You're meeting up with if they're doing a special entrance. You're doing run throughs of that. It's like this is a big show, so they're not gonna mess around, and they're not just gonna we'll just wing it. Mm-mm. No
winging it here.
No, big show, man. So it's a big, it does suck. It does suck to see those pictures. They hit it very well on network. You don't notice it. There were people who stayed for the entire thing. I'm so glad that those did. I feel bad for Goldberg for having to look out there and see that, and hopefully not take that personally.
You know what? Goldberg just suffered from the headlining band syndrome. The last band of the night, man. Sometimes you're going to get fucked because everyone's already exhausted, and as much as they want to see you, how bad do they want to see you? And I'll catch it another time, man. I'll catch the speech on the network or whatever,
Yeah.
I liked Goldberg's speech. I kind of felt like he definitely left it open that he doesn't want his career to be done yet, and he wants to try to get a couple more matches in. I don't know who works with him on the roster that isn't just bullshit squash matches like he's been doing. So there's a lot of possibilities with what the future will hold with Goldberg coming out of that Hall of Fame there. And it looks like in the middle of a podcast, which sometimes I love this, I'm getting food delivered to me. How cool is that?
Again.
Yeah, man, it always works out that way. Sometimes you're just in a podcast and they're like, "Hey, we're going to get food. Here's your food." And I'm like, "Cool." But that's fine. We'll continue on.
I'm also hoping this episode isn't too laggy because we're having some connection issues tonight, and it's been noticeable on my end. But I'm hoping that when we put these files together, it won't be too bad.
I don't think it'll be too bad. I think it should be just groovalicious.
I also want to kind of give a thumbs up to Kid Rock for being pretty humble and coming out and not really soaking up that limelight too much. His speech wasn't super long. He cracked a few jokes. I don't always agree with what the dude has to say politically. That's neither here or there, but he didn't bring that shit into it. He joked about it, and that's about as far as he needs to go with it, because he's kind of becoming the next generation Nugent, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's your opinion. But you know what? He was there. He was humble. I do wonder why Kid Rock. Why now when you haven't inducted Cyndi Lauper?
Yeah, it's weird. And it's also weird to note that they're like, yay, championing that women are at the top of the game, and yay this. And I get that you want to, have some specialty to your Hall of Fame. You always try to induct a tag team. You always try to induct somebody who is one of the leading champions all time, as it were. You want to try to induct a woman wrestler and a journeyman or somebody who's had a long journey and career that was maybe a character wrestler. And obviously the celebrity. One thing I want to say is Hillbilly Jim was awesome. It was a pretty good speech. I thought Ivory's speech was kind of weird, but I liked it. Do you think they need to have less people inducted year by year now? Do they need to condense that number a little bit? First of all, they're running out of people to induct that actually genuinely deserve it without them just pulling names out of a hat. Well, I guess they're going in this year. Fuck yeah,
Well, yeah. Maybe you can start condensing it a little bit, because who do you get to headline next year? One of the biggest stars they've never inducted is yet to be inducted, and I think it's because he doesn't want to be inducted yet.
Who?
The Rock.
Okay, what about is Lex Luger in the Hall of Fame?
No, and he should be. No, he actually should be. He's had a Hall of Fame career. I do think Lex has.
Roddy is in.
Yeah. Roddy's in.
I'm just trying to go down the list of people who I think that could. Jake's in. Yoko's in. Right, they had an induction for Yoko 2006, maybe?
Nah, it was somewhere in the
early aughts.
No, later aughts, I think.
Owen. And
again,
and that was Mark Henry,
oh my
Jesus
gosh.
Christ. I was like, dude, you motherfucker. Come on. I'm already crying because you have a fucking great-ass, speech that's very, very revealing into who he is as a person, and then he just, he cut the bullshit and just made the realest fucking cut, on Owen's wife and trying to make it noted that he belongs there. Bulldog, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think Bulldog is. I can see Bulldog going in, for sure.
Hardy's, Christian.
You know what's going to be funny if they make a running joke about Christian still not getting in the Hall of Fame?
Even when he gets in the Hall of Fame?
Well, how they did the joke about him acting like he was inducting himself. If they keep every year acting like it's always somebody around Christian but not Christian. So he's always the guy out there going, I'm inducting Jack Swagger, guys.
Did Goldust get inducted yet?
Not yet. No. But he will be.
In due time.
Without a shadow of a doubt, whether it's as Gold. His career, not just as Goldust, but as Dustin in Goldust, is definitely worthwhile a induction. Steiner Brothers.
Perfect.
Need
Kurt's
to go in. Yeah,
14,
Kurt was headliner last year.
What?
Kurt was headliner last year.
That was last year?
Yeah.
Shit, I can't remember.
No.
I can't.
You know,
Did we mention to everybody that we're late today?
no, we haven't. I think we mentioned it on the last episode that if you guys listen to this show, it's going to be late. But yeah, guys, we're late. New Age Outlaws.
Yes, abso-fucking-lutely. They
New Age
definitely
Outlaws
deserve to go
need
in.
in.
Terry Funk?
I think Terry's in.
Is he?
I think he might be.
I thought Dory was in, but not Terry.
I'm not going.
You're not gonna go Googleplex it.
I'm not going to Googleplex it. No. I mean, because we're just riffing about who should be in. I mean, obviously, if he's not, he should be, but definitely. Jim Cornette.
Absolutely.
I think Jim Cornette should be. I mean, they opened the door last year to have him induct the Rock and Roll. Into that notion, I think Midnight Express should go in. In fact, I think they should go in all three together: Midnight Express and Cornette, because that's like the old school classic package. Of course, Cornette went on to do other stuff and manage like Yoko and do some other stuff with that.
Did Pritchard get in the Hall of Fame yet?
No, but Brother Love should be.
Honky Tonk?
I think Honky Tonk's in.
He's in? I can't
Maybe.
remember
I don't
who's
know.
all in, bro.
Oh, man. I thought I had somebody. Because, okay, you know what? Tommy
Sure.
Dreamer.
Fuck yes. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Also on that note, Paul Heyman.
Yes. Yep.
Bischoff as well.
You know what? Sure. Yeah.
Makes sense. It really does.
As a promoter, and both of them. I mean, Heyman, you can do it as all together type thing. You can mention the promoter, his managerial years, of course, his advocate years, and all that kind of stuff. And then as commentator, you know, Heyman, no pun intended, has wore a lot of hats over the years.
That's a great pun.
But then, you know, same with Bischoff. I mean, I think that's I guess as we're discovering, we still have quite a few names to go through before we're all said and done.
We haven't even touched women's wrestling yet.
No.
And that list is also very long.
Yeah, I mean, totally. But so Hall of Fame was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It took me like 2 days to finish it because it was so long. But then growing into NXT, Supercard was on Saturday as well, right?
Yeah, we can do it in whichever order. You want to do NXT first? I'm totally down.
Let's go NXT first because I didn't want Supercard, but I totally feel like NXT was show of the weekend. Like
After
NXT,
watching all of wrestling, I can 100% agree with that.
Holy crap. That NXT show, it's like every time I watch a takeover, I say that's the best show I've seen in a long time. You know, going back to more recently, the one they did before Survivor Series, where War Games, where you had that Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream match, where that match, I had who knew that match was going to be as good as that was?
No one.
And
well,
then,
I take that back, actually. I bet Velveteen and Aleister knew it was going to be that good, but I digress.
But I mean, it almost was like the match that shouldn't have been, because it's then coming out of that, you had the War Games and the title matches, and then there's this undercard match that just came in and stole the freaking show. And then look at how much Almas has improved, and then his match with Gargano.
That's a fucking could-be match of the year.
And then when you're going in to this one, and every freaking match delivered. And then some. Whether or not it was straight wrestling or whether it was storytelling, this match delivered. I thought that ladder match is the best damn ladder match I've seen in a long time.
Kudos to those guys going for the first ever North American NXT title, because that match did not set the tone. It stole the show, and it was no matter what you put on after it, no matter how great anything was, and there were so many great wrestling moments. That is the moment that you remember from NXT New Orleans, because that whole match, all the spots, all the crazy fucking things those dudes did, man. I mean, going through ladders, jumping off ladders, nearly winning the title, not quite winning the title. Hashtag Adam Cole baby.
Called it.
You called that, Brando. Called it. You called the whole. Well, you almost called.
I didn't call the women's match.
You did not. I don't think either of us called the women's match.
Well, you originally said call her up.
Yeah.
And
but again, right. I thought, what if you let that feud go a little longer? And I guess they thought they didn't need to, because we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, no, Adam Cole takes the first ever, he's the first ever North American title holder. I really dig the belt, old school look, feel to it. The next match was the women's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I missed this match entirely. I caught the tail end of it, and I went back and rewatched it. It was good, really good. Definitely. There's only like 2 people in the crowd that were happy at the outcome, and one of them was
Rhonda and Jasmine Duke.
Yeah, but I mean, still great storytelling, great back and forth, and now Ember's on Raw, or who knows after the shakeup, but.
I think it's crazy because I knew Shayna Baszler and Jasmine Duke from their time on Tough Enough. Or not Tough Enough, not Tough Enough. It was, what do they call that? Ultimate Fighter, right? UFC does Ultimate Fighter. And they were both on that season, and neither of them won. And, it was weird because it was like the 4 horsewomen, and I'm like noticing all these ladies, and I'm like, wow, Rhonda just like scooped up all those chicks that were on that Ultimate Fighter show. Cool. And now, now to see Shayna like win the title, and it was well done. The story was well done. I love that Ember went for the finger break, arm break move on Baszler, and was really aggressive the whole match and pushed the whole match, and then just still doesn't come out on top. So it makes her look strong in her exit match out of NXT. Now it seems like she's, well, like you said, wherever we'll see her end up. After that was the tag match?
Yes.
And
Undisputed Era defeated Authors of Pain, Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong, to retain the tag team titles and win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Holy crap. And honestly, this is the shortest match on the card.
I didn't see it coming either.
No. I did call that Undisputed Era were going to win, but I didn't call how, with Pete Dunne getting the win and then getting broken up by his own partner,
who turns on him
and then pulls the Undisputed Era armband off of Cole, puts it on his own arm, and joins Undisputed Era.
It was an amazing moment. The only thing I could think of was like, now they got to find a way to make their logo add the letter S. Because their logo, the Undisputed Era logo, is literally CFO for Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly. But now you got Cole, Fish, O'Reilly, and Strong. So now how are you going to incorporate an S into that shit? And and now are they the Strong Undisputed Era?
Well, CFOs does all the music. It's the CF and then $.
Oh,
so I made like a CFO joke. But yeah, no, the match was great. Totally did not see that coming. The next match was the title match. Aleister Black defeated Andrade Cien Almas to win the NXT title. This match had so many false finishes.
Oh, for sure.
Not even to the point where it's like, oh, he's just kicking out of a finisher. They built it up to the point where they hit the move, and you thought that was it.
You're like, oh, wow, we're going home now. This is the end of the match. And
they did like 3 or 4 of them, man. It was like, oh, my gosh, how much longer can this go? Aleister Black finally pulls out the win, and yeah, This was almost the match of the night, but it was followed up by the unsanctioned match. Gargano defeated Tommaso Ciampa, gets reinstated.
Which was
this
amazing.
Longest match on the card, probably longest match of the weekend, not barring the Supercard. I don't know the match times for that. I didn't watch it.
There were a couple that were over 38.
This is 37:06. And the story that this match told.
Brilliant.
Oh my gosh. That power bomb to the outside.
Oh,
concrete.
to the outside. Oh man. I couldn't believe Ciampa took that bump.
Thud. Like I was like
I did that too. Oh, actually I have a picture, Brando. I have a picture because I took a picture. There was a guy in the crowd, and as soon as they showed his face, I was like, that's my fucking face right now. I have to take a picture of this so I can show Brando. I'm going to send it to you. So there's this guy in the crowd, and his face is this. I just sent it to you on the messengers. That was me. I was like, holy shit, what?
Oh, dude, I was sitting there with my hand over my mouth, and my wife was sitting at the computer, and she goes, what? And I just pointed at the TV, and then they replayed it with a smack, and she's like, oh my gosh. And
that was a violent bump.
What's awesome is that you couldn't call this match. The match that they put on could have gone either way.
The whole time, too.
And yes, and it would have fit the story either way. Really. I mean, if Gargano would have lost, you would have had a heartbreaking moment, and then he could have been picked up by 205 Live or something, whatever.
Candice LeRae comes to the ring when he's crying. The match is over. She embraces him. I will say that although Gargano won, Johnny Wrestling won, I did still feel like there was a small possibility we were going to get the betrayal and Candice was going to low blow him at the end of the match. I had a tiny piece of reservation thinking that'd be an interesting way to further the story and turn her up and pick her up in popularity now that she's coming into NXT. Also is Bubba's wife coming to NXT?
Velvet Sky?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so. Isn't she still with TNA GFW Anthem Impact Wrestling?
Owl. Woohoo, woohoo. I don't know. I didn't know because I just was shocked that the cameras turned to her during the Hall of Fame and he pointed her out and called her out. I didn't expect that.
Well, I mean, if she's thinking about it, she has options. I mean, TNA's hiring.
That was a great jab, by the way. Low blow, low blow, low blow.
Dude, I told you because you were over in Columbus, Ohio, playing a show when this was going on. And then I was on Sunday or whatever. You was like, hey, I just started this. And all I said was A++ show. It was awesome. Because saying any more than that would have given too much away. Because there's not a match on this card. 5 matches. 5 matches went 3 hours, Nate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not
guess
a match
what?
on...
That's Triple H being an expert at what he's doing.
Oh, my gosh.
That makes me stoked for the future.
Well, I mean, again, would this, this is for wrestling fans. This screams new old school. It's newer version of old NWA. It's newer version of old school wrestling, and it works for wrestling fans. But how marketable is it towards the mainstream market? I'm hoping that what he can do, even if we're not getting half-hour matches on Raw or even some of the regular pay-per-views, that at least we can adopt the style of storytelling that they're doing in NXT on the main roster more often. Because it's not to say that the main roster storytelling is always bad. It isn't. But damn, the story, like with Gargano and Ciampa,
that's once in a lifetime, Brando. That's a year build up done right.
Oh man, and it was all fluke, because part of it was because Ciampa got injured.
His injury happened before they lost that match last year, right?
The injury
he
happened,
went into that match
and
injured.
Then they lost
I do
the match, and then he turned. Yeah, but they didn't know the extent. They didn't know like how long he was going to be out for. And then he went, and it was going to be a little bit longer than what they thought. But it worked. It worked. And you know what? Like, one thing, like now that Gargano and Ciampa are back together, I was thinking, I'm like, or not back together, I'm sorry. Now that they're back
feuding
on NXT. I like, because you have the Undisputed Era, have them win all the gold. They already got the tag. North American, you can have Strong beat Pete Dunne.
Okay.
UK title. And then when you could have Cole win the NXT title.
Be a dual champion. That'd be badass.
You know, whatever. And then when the NXT roster has to stand up against the Undisputed Era, what team can defeat Fish and O'Reilly? It's the two. It's DIY, but they hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you can set it up to where Undisputed Era has a feud with both Gargano and Ciampa. Even though Ciampa's a heel, they do not like Ciampa, or you can set it up however you want. Whether or not they offer him a spot, he turns it down.
That's the way I would
turn on him.
They offer him
and then they beat him up, and it just so happens that Gargano and Ciampa are together again. But there's just such heated hate. There's tension. How are these two going to work together?
Oh, please tell me there's a face slap tag in. It would be so fucking cool.
But then, only when
Ciampa's
they're
on the
in
outside
this,
and he smacks him in the face.
They never won the tag titles, right?
Correct. Oh, man.
So they win the tag titles now or then, after a big, long, epic match with Fish and O'Reilly. And then here they are, finally tag team champions. And there's so much tension. There's so much heat. And they're both, looking at the tag belts. They finally did it. And after a year later, after this whole thing has happened, where they killed each other last year, they embrace.
Epic storytelling.
God, I love it.
That'd be a great send off. Absolutely. Then my brain goes to like, oh man, then what do you do with the Undisputed Era in the future? Like, how do you bring them up to the main roster
together?
And I would love if there was some crazy shit like an attack. They haven't done a crazy attack angle in a long time, Brando. Think about when Triple H got attacked, right? Or was it Austin that got attacked? Who got attacked? One of them got attacked. Way back when. Do you remember?
You talking about like when Austin got hit by a car?
Yeah, and it was Rikishi, right?
I did it for The Rock.
Yeah, that was a terrible storyline they tried to do, but that same idea, that concept, a hit happens, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who it is. Daniel Bryan, could be anybody. Whoever's injured and needs an out. So, boom, they get the shit kicked out of them, right? And then there's a cool-off time. And then I'm not sure who you'd have in the ring as the actual ringleader. Maybe it's Finn Balor, is out there. And he's like, I want to come clean, I want to confess that I am the one that attacked John Cena, or whatever. Let's say it's John Cena that gets the shit kicked out of him. And Balor takes off his coat and his jacket and his shirt to reveal an Undisputed Era shirt. And then they come out and beat the shit out of John Cena, who's just returned, for the first time. Because then you've built them up. I mean, look at the pop Authors of Pain got, man.
Yeah.
You do a long time angle and build the Undisputed Era being the ones behind this, it could really make, big momentum happen in wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so that was Takeover, man. Great show. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk a little bit about Supercard because, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but you forced yourself to, and hopefully it wasn't a painful forced.
It really wasn't a painful force. I will say that we did have one match that went just barely longer than the Gargano-Ciampa match. Cody and Kenny went 37-15. I think you said that the Gargano match went 37-08 or something.
06, yeah.
06, so pretty close there, very close here. There's a couple pre-card matches. They did the semifinal matches for the first ever women's Women of Honor Championship for the Ring of Honor. Kelly Klein and Sumi Saki go on to the finals to have a match later in the card. The first match I really want to talk about is Kota Ibushi versus Hangman Page. They put on a hell of a show, about 15-minute match. A lot of back and forth here. Hangman being a member of the Bullet Club. A lot of stuff kind of going on there. We'll talk about Hangman in a bit too. But this just, Kota Ibushi being one of the Golden Lovers, friends with Kenny Omega, furthers that storyline a little bit. Obviously, Sumi Sakai and Kelly Klein had the final match to crown a Women of Honor champion, Sumi Sakai winning in an almost 8-minute match. It was really good. This is one of my favorite matches of the night we're about to talk about. SoCal Uncensored, which is your homie Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky, versus Flip Gordon and Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, again, of the Bullet Club. It was the ladder match for the ROH World 6-Man Tag Team titles. Went about 24 minutes, and it was a barn burner, one hell of a crazy thing. Another team came out. They had been banned from the match, and actually had been banned from the event altogether as storyline considered. And they kind of play in the thing. Christopher Daniels pulling the belt off at the end to retain those 6-man tag titles. The Briscoes, Mark and Jay, facing Jay Lethal and Hiroshi Tanahashi from New Japan. Great, fast-paced, and brutal action-y match. The Briscoes going on to retain their World Tag Team titles. There was a World TV match, Last Man Standing, Silas Young and Kenny King. Silas wins back the title from Kenny King here. He had won it. Kenny beat him, and he beat him back for it. 16-minute match. Great match. Again, kind of brutal, fast-paced. It was really well done. The match everybody wants to talk about, Cody Rhodes defeating Kenny Omega, is a bizarre shocker of a match. For a long time, the Bullet Club has been teasing and hyping this possible split. Who's the leader? What's going on? There's the whole Kenny Omega kissed Brandy Rhodes and all this other stuff and Barry the Bear and whatnot. So the match was great, back and forth action, lots of false finishes. I won't say it was the greatest Kenny Omega match. I think they kind of left it a little bit. This is the start of the feud. That we're far from done with this. I think this will end at All In, and we're just getting the first installment of the build to All In. So Cody is, they're kind of duking it out there, and the ref gets taken out, and Cody and Kenny are both down after they dual body check each other midair. It was a pretty sick bump. They went belly to belly, midair, bam. And so they're out, and the Young Bucks come out. And Nick and Matt Jackson are looking at Kenny Omega. They're sizing Omega up. And you're like, oh, my God, they're going to super kick Kenny Omega. And they're going to betray the fucking Bullet Club. This is ridiculous. And then they size up Cody. And you're like, oh, shit, this is really what's happening. And on being the Elite, they had talked about and teased, that they aren't on the same page as Cody. They're on the same page as Kenny. So they size him up, size him up, size him up. They go to super kick Cody. And he falls over and they super kick Kenny, who collapses, and Cody pins him. And literally minutes after the match was over, there was already a new shirt design on Pro Wrestling Tees with a picture of the Jacksons kicking Kenny Omega, and in big bold letters, "They chose me," the new Cody Rhodes shirt. So this is far from over. Obviously, this is all leading to what's coming. The last match of the night was the singles match for the ROH World Title, Dalton Castle versus Marty Scurll. Interesting to note, I was repping the Marty Scurll Villain Club shirt at the show we did. Didn't even realize he was in a match for the world title. So that was pretty cool. I just fucking love the shirt.
Funny.
I wanted to wear it. It was wrestling weekend, you know. This match is back and forth, really good, lots of possibilities. I really felt like it was most possible that Marty was going to retain. But one thing I'm kind of learning about ROH is while they do have these Bullet Club guys, any of those guys that are kind of signed to those floating contracts that can work wherever and whenever and do whatever aren't going to be their champs. Their in-house guys that are locked into only ROH-style contracts will almost always retain. You look at it, the Jackson brothers did not get the six-man titles. You look at it, and Marty didn't get the world title. So, interesting things coming from Bullet Club. I can't wait to see. They also said, I don't know if you heard this or not, Brandon, but Okada has officially said he is all in.
I did hear that.
Stoked.
Hell yeah! I mean that's starting to shape up a little bit. I have a little bit of late breaking news.
Bring it on
this Wednesday evening. Apparently, Jerry the King Lawler had a stroke.
What?
On March 21st, and he was incapacitated for about 3 days. It seems. Says here that Lawler suffered a stroke in his home on March 21st while with his fiancée Lauren and was able to speak for almost 3 days. His face was also sagging on one side, and when he woke up on Saturday morning, he's feeling 100% better and able to continue his normal routine of wrestling and making appearances, including WrestleMania, and he also hosted the Hall of Fame show, which is, like, when I heard this, I was like, what? That's crazy.
Holy shit. That is crazy.
The King talked about on his podcast exactly what happened and why the doctors were shocked that he made such a quick recovery. He also talked about about only telling a few people, including Kevin Dunn, Vince McMahon, and Triple H, and he was shocked that it stayed a secret until he had revealed it. So, yeah, dude, I'm glad he's feeling better. He's still wrestling, and he's had a heart attack and a stroke. I mean, I'm not going to be the guy to tell him what to do, but maybe it's time to start thinking about, hey, man.
I feel like this is going to be the wake-up call that gets him to think about the hey man that you're thinking about here.
Hey, it is what it is. Anyway, WrestleMania on Sunday went like 7 hours. It's
holy shit,
ridiculous,
man. And
man.
I tell you what, the first pre-show match, and I know there's some complaints about how long it goes. There's, breaks in between the matches and whatnot and the hype before the actual show. But right out the gate, they give us a WrestleMania moment in the pre-show. Brando. Pre-show.
Yeah, it takes almost an hour to get there. The first match takes place right before, I would say, right around like the 45-minute mark at like 5:45 Eastern. So the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, 30-man this year. Matt Hardy won by the help of Bray Wyatt returning from the Lake of Reincarnation.
Yes.
Lending him a hand against the last two winners of the Battle Royal. Mojo Rawley and Baron Corbin were going to team up on the Woken one, and, well, the Eater of Worlds seemed to interfere and secure the victory for Woken Matt Hardy, and we got like a pose with the two, signaling that they're on the same page going forward, and, of course, this is like kind of, like, I feel like if you weren't going to do like a return win, I feel like Matt was probably the right guy to win. He's got a character going for him right now. That Wyatt feud was kind of a letdown up until the Ultimate Deletion. It was sort of just like, what's going on and where's it going? It's not really getting into the next gear. But I kind of feel like Wyatt being on his side is now like the next gear of that feud. I feel like we're going to see more eventually with that, especially since something happened on Monday that we're going to talk about. But we also crowned a new Cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, we was wrong about this one, Brando.
We were really wrong. Cedric Alexander defeated Mustafa Ali for the vacant Cruiserweight title.
I'm kind of bummed by that. I thought Mustafa kind of deserved his time, but it'll come. I feel like somebody debuted on 205 or showed up on 205 Live and interrupted something last night, and I didn't see that. That's the only thing I haven't watched yet was 205 Live.
Yeah, there was a new debut, and I'm trying to remember who exactly it was. I'm gonna know it as soon as I see it.
Are you Google machining it now?
I'm on my news site that I'm trying to get it to load, but I'm also not using Wi-Fi because I'm trying to make sure that our connection stays good.
How vibe you? Oh, it was Buddy Murphy.
Yeah,
but he just interfered. He didn't he wasn't really debuting, I guess.
Oh well, he might have debuted by interfering.
Yeah, but I think he was already a part of the 205 Live. He was a part of 205 Live's tournament to crown a 205 Live.
Oh, was he? I don't know.
So, because
Naomi wins the 20-woman WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal Trophy. That is what that is. She last eliminated Bayley. Of course, they went with the Bayley-Sasha storyline in the end, where Bayley eliminated Sasha, going all in to just try to get the win. But I liked how they've pushed that forward by not having her win. She turned on Sasha to win. She didn't end up winning, so it was all for naught. Naomi, who won the SmackDown women's title last year, wins this. And I'm not really too sure what this means. It doesn't really mean much, especially we don't really know where the women's scene on SmackDown is. I mean, we know where it's going to end up, kind of. But especially since the rumor for next year's main event of WrestleMania has already been rumored.
What?
And we'll get to that in a little bit. WrestleMania starts full on with the Triple Threat Intercontinental title match with Seth Rollins defeating The Miz and Finn Balor. Holy crap, this match was good.
Yes, right out the gate, they are firing on all cylinders. Fast-paced, good action-packed match. 3 dudes working together to tell a cohesive story. A lot of false finishes here. You know, at any point, any one of these dudes could have come away with the victory on this in this match, Brando. I think that's what did it for me. They did a really good job of making me believe that anything was possible.
I really dug Seth Rollins' Game of Thrones entrance with the Night King.
Yeah.
That was badass. I also loved, Corey Graves said something that only 30% of their viewers even understood. I want to say he said something through the flames of Assyrion, the Kingslayer has arrived, or something like that.
Yeah.
But Seth Rollins gets the victory here with a curb stomp onto Finn on top of The Miz, and then another one onto The Miz. I'm so glad they brought that move back. I really feel like that move is his sweet chin music. And since everybody in the damn industry does super kicks now, everybody does super kicks. I really like that Rollins has a finisher that is his. Nobody else does it, and it's quick, and he can do it on anybody.
Well, they tried to make that other finisher his thing with
that
the
knee?
high knee strike, with the
that.
Spinning him. It just didn't take off. It didn't take off. People didn't get behind that.
I'm so glad they brought the curb stomp back because it's so safe. And, they say, well, the kids are going to replicate it. Dude, Undertaker does a pile driver. And he's the only person that you actually let do a pile driver anymore. And, your kids are going to replicate that, man. Trust me. If kids watch wrestling, they're going to replicate all the moves. It's not just one.
No, they're going to try to learn all of them.
So, going into
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to carry on. I'm sorry. I thought you were done speaking. I was going to take us into the next thing.
Sure, do it. Please do.
Which was the first shocker of the night.
Totally.
Charlotte Flair defeated Asuka, ended the streak.
No one better to do it.
What'd you think? Oh, well, no. And see, here's the thing. If Asuka wins, who stands up to her next?
Yeah, who can beat her for the title?
She
just continues
legitimately
that streak
she would continue unbeaten until the next year, and that's a long time. So here's what they did. They got rid of that. That is Asuka can now be booked normally. She can now be she can eat a cheap pin. She can eat some losses here and there.
She can get a bullshit disqualification or count out or something.
She can be defeated. here in a few months, you're going to see people defeating Asuka, and it's not going to mean anything. And that's important because undefeated streaks are so difficult to do because you almost book yourself into a corner because you have no one else left to beat them that is credible that the fans are going to buy. They kind of did it with the Undertaker streak too, because there's not too many people that you could have put with him when they ended it. That was can you imagine if they put Baron Corbin in there with him and said, we're going to make Baron Corbin out of this? That would have been awful.
Ugh.
You know, there's only so many people I feel like that probably could have used a big boost by beating The Undertaker. But then again, it's like not everybody's going to buy into it. That's why you have a legitimate badass like Brock Lesnar do it. And you're like, well, he's the one guy who actually probably could beat the guy. You know, it's like, and we're going to get to Brock later too, and how that match it's kind of led to where we are today. But Charlotte, I thought like she was holding on with that one arm. I thought they were going to be trading some submissions there at the end, but then Asuka tapped, shocked the entire building. No one saw that coming. The other thing that they succeeded with this. Think about what that gives Charlotte. That helps make her even bigger.
The queen is really the queen.
And so, Nate, the rumors are already in this, like, there. You know how, like, last year we kind of knew what the main event of this year was going to be.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if this is the last match next year. We don't know. But if I were them, I would make it the last match, 100%.
Charlotte Asuka rematch.
Charlotte defending a women's championship against Ronda Rousey.
Oh. I love that. That'd be amazing. Because then if Ronda won, God damn, she was over too. We're going to get into that in a minute.
Oh, absolutely. Up next was the Fatal 4-Way United States title. Jinder Mahal defeated Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, and Rusev to win the United States title. This match, I think I had... okay, we'll go back, okay? We were wrong on the Battle Royal.
Yep.
We were wrong on Mustafa. I don't even remember who we picked for the women's. Maybe Becky. We were wrong on that. We were wrong on IC. We both picked Balor. We were wrong on Charlotte Flair.
Yep.
We were wrong on U.S. title because I picked Randy to retain.
And I think I picked Rusev to pick up a momentum
surprise
boost winning.
win, yeah. And no, it was. And now, granted, it kind of could have gone any way with this match.
Totally. And I love all four of these dudes for different reasons as far as competing is concerned. Like, they all bring something different, unique to the table. I kind of love that Jinder is the champ right now.
Well,
it works to his advantage.
Yeah. Well, to me. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. I kind of feel like this is like a pat on the back and a make good for kind of how they took the big belt off of him going into the Lesnar match and how they kind of like they veered for that. There's that meme with that car careening for the exit and like
at the last second. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, Jinder versus Brock, AJ versus Brock.
Yeah.
And so they kind of like swept the rug out underneath Jinder. And I felt bad because they had already kind of like started it, and they started it with Jinder calling Brock out, and then they went with AJ and Brock, which was a great match. But Jinder just sat on the sidelines and didn't get that. So in a way, I just kind of feel like them giving him this belt is them going, all right, we're not done with you, Jinder. Just so you know, we're not done. We are still happy with you and happy with what you've been able to attain. So here is this. Now let's see what you can do with this and see if you can build yourself back up and try to get yourself back to that level, because it sucks because they just kind of pulled it off of the other title off of Jinder out of left field, and maybe it was time for him to drop it, but let's see what he can do. I'm also happy that he's a champ. I'm also like, I think Rusev needs to be babyface right now. That's just me.
Rusev does need to be babyface. He's already super over. One thing I want to mention with this match is Jinder taking the U.S. title into their Saudi Arabia match because they're going to be putting this title online there. That's huge. That's a big deal. So interesting here because, like you said, any one of these dudes can carry this title with pride and do it a great job. I will say I feel it's weird Bobby keeps eating a lot of defeats lately. Like he's kind of unintentionally being buried the past few weeks in loss mode. Granted, he's looked strong, hitting some of the like spine busters and stuff and getting everything set up, but he eats a loss. I don't know if we'll actually touch on the match or not, but he ate a loss at SmackDown on Tuesday, and I was just like, oh man, keep losing. Like that kind of sucks. Moving forward though, Kurt Angle and Rousey defeating Triple H and Stephanie in a surprisingly amazing match, Brando. Well put together.
This match, my opinion, is match of the night.
Wow.
It like barely edges out Charlotte and Asuka, but I feel like the reason why it edges it out is because of the story and how well the story was put together, because it kind of starts off so slow and with the Angle and Triple H stuff, and then they pop when Rousey gets in there. And then from the moment that she gets in there, this match goes into another gear. And it has so many great moments. With her going in there and just destroying Stephanie at first. And just like Stephanie's like that look, that her selling it. And like the look of fear. And then, of course, she starts kind of like getting the upper hand and Rousey's selling for her. And then when her and Triple H are in there and she's no fear standing up to him, the referee's trying to do that whole mixed thing. No, can't touch, Tank. Can't touch. And Triple H kind of like, no, let's go. And then she lights him up. And I loved how he had. Do you remember how we used to kind of pick on Nia for kind of like being a monster, but she'd kind of have this look of fear on her face?
Yeah, like when Bailey was going to hit her, and you're like, "Come on now! If you were a monster, Bailey hitting you wouldn't affect you."
Well, and and that's no disrespect to Nia, but I was kind of like, man, if you're trying to play the monster role, I wouldn't expect Andre to kind of do that, to somebody so small. But then with this, Triple H kind of had that same look, but that was him selling it. He made Ronda look like $1 million.
Oh yeah.
And, for everything anybody's ever said about Triple H holding people down, him and Stephanie, their role was to make Ronda look good. And they succeeded in every way. I love that spot when she picked him up from the ground.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. That was crazy.
There's so many great spots. She locked him in the armbar. And the story was she couldn't lock Stephanie in. She kept like having her fingers locked. And to me, I'm like, you locked Triple H in the damn thing. You can't lock Stephanie in. Stephanie has this fucking iron grip. It's like, no. And then, of course, they kind of did my finish.
A little bit. Yeah, go on.
I mean, she didn't break the arm. She tore a few ligaments.
Yeah.
When she finally locked in the armbar and made it look good. From top to bottom, this match was great. The crowd was hot for Ronda. And like this match was this like what you would call like the marquee match. Like maybe it's not the main event, but it's definitely like a top attraction. And it delivered on all levels for me.
It's also their celebrity match.
Sure, yeah.
Which isn't really a celebrity match this time. It actually like plays into it being, it's all wrestling. This card was all wrestling. And that's what I said earlier. No real backstage segments, no special performances other than one Shinsuke's theme being played, right? On the guitar with What's-Her-Face.
With the Alice Cooper's guitarist, and then and the violins and the drums. By the way, let's shout back real quick. Shout out to Lizzie Hale for performing on NXT for Ember Moon's entrance.
Yeah, that was cool.
Awesome. But going forward, we have the SmackDown triple threat for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Bludgeon Brothers defeated the Usos and the New Day in a relatively one-sided match here. This is not the shortest match on the card, but the shortest officially announced match like on the card. Well, no. Well,
yeah, it is.
It is, but the Raw Tag Team titles from Bell went shorter.
Yeah.
That just had shenanigans before it. But we called this one Bludgeon Brothers. Didn't we both say Bludgeon Brothers were going to take this?
Just
Or did it
blew through the Usos in the New Day, man.
I did have a version where Usos barely won by a hand after the Bludgeon Brothers, but I don't know if I'm not sure if I went with that one.
I remember we were talking about that because you said how cool would it be if they, because I think we had talked about like if anybody's going to retain that's not and not the Bludgeon Brothers winning these titles, they would have to, the Usos and the New Day work together cohesively to make that happen, and they tried, but it still didn't happen.
No, I think one version I had is where the Bludgeon Brothers laid everybody out, and then something happened where they were distracted or they did all the damage, and one of the Usos got one hand on Kofi. And all it was one hand, and then they won, and the Bludgeon Brothers got so pissed they just destroyed everybody all over again. Speaking of destroying somebody,
oh yes, please go on.
The Undertaker defeated John Cena.
Before we talk about that, we also need to make a brief mention that Elias made a WrestleMania appearance, and man, did they do a great job of bullshit swerving us.
Oh, dude, it was great.
Even you were probably like, wow, they're really not going to do it. What the fuck?
Well, when they started, when he started dragging his feet going back the second time, I was thinking they're still going to do something. But, the Elias thing was, the one segment on the show that wasn't a wrestling segment or it was more of an entertainment segment. I liked how John spent part of the night sitting with the crowd, drinking beer, taking selfies. Interesting
that was
to
awesome.
note. They all hate him. They all hate John Cena until he's sitting with them, and they're all like, "Hey man, take a selfie. Hey man, take a selfie. Yeah, oh it's John. How you doing, man?" It's so fickle, man. It's come on, you're so there chanting John Cena sucks when he's walking out with doing his gimmick, but the moment he's walking by you, high fiving people, you're like, "Oh hey man, yeah, hi." Whatever.
Well, that's, rubbing shoulders with celebrity, man. Anybody wants that chance. You're gonna.
I know, but God
suck
damn
up.
it, it's he's John fucking Cena. He's the modern day Hulk Hogan. He's the modern day Rock. He's a legend in the business. He's never going to turn heel at this point.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's a fucking modern day Bruno Sammartino. There's absolutely why even bother booing him at this point? At this point, everybody should just be cheering him out of respect, and not only for that, but out of respect for what he just did for the Undertaker, because he called out the Undertaker. Undertaker never made an appearance. Elias interrupts him and starts playing House of the Rising Sun or whatever on this way, which I kind of popped for. But then he gets in there and starts the crowd is so into Elias. It's so hilarious because he's still trying to be the heel going. And he had that little bit on Raw too, where he was trying to heal them. And but then John goes in there and kind of makes quick work of him, gives him a F you and all that kind of stuff. And then he's waiting and waiting, and then his music starts playing and he starts walking back, and then the lights go out again, and then the hat, the gloves, the coat are in the ring with the spotlight where Taker left them last year, and they get struck by lightning, and then they disappear, only to magically reappear on the body of the Undertaker as he rises up from the grave once again. You can literally call him the Walking Dead because every time he loses, you think it's over. He's dead. And something just keeps dragging this old corpse right back to life to do battle once again. The bell rings, and John Cena gets 2 moves in the entire match. Taker does all of his shtick, defeats John Cena 2 minutes 45 seconds.
Looked amazing, though. He looks in goddamn great shape.
He looks good. I also wonder if they did this, number one, because it doesn't need to be a great epic. There's not enough time on the show. And number two, it's would Taker kind of have been exposed in a 20-minute match of not being able to go a long 20-minute match? Maybe, but he is wrestling in another match this month. So we'll see. We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
But I kind of so here's how I kind of see this playing, and I think you and me might be on the same page.
Sure.
Taker basically came back to go, ask and you shall receive an ass whooping.
Yep.
Cena can say, I had too many beers. I was out there, I was having fun, and then it's like I also love the spot where Taker sat up and Cena like slipped on a banana peel. I saw the memes. I was like, when the Undertaker can see you, and he's like, what?
Yes,
loved that. But have Taker come in, dominate him in a way that only Brock Lesnar has before, and then next year make it career versus career. Because John Cena's kind of on the way out,
35.
as far as like doing movies and all this other stuff. Taker's could arguably on the way out too for his, and you could, at this point, Taker losing at Mania to anybody doesn't even fucking matter anymore.
No,
it only mattered for this main event really. So if you had John Cena defeat Undertaker, you give this guy with already a Hall of Fame accolade, who could arguably be like the next Undertaker for them going forward, having another like 10 years to wrestle for marquee Mania matches until he's 50 years old. That's John Cena. And who else on this roster could 100% going into it legitimately defeat and end the career of The Undertaker with so much respect than the guy who laid down for him the year before?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's like, to me, there's no other guy. Yeah, like there's a lot of great guys on the roster. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, they say, well, ending his career should boost somebody else. It's like, no offense, I love the dude. He's one of my favorite guys on the roster, but it just doesn't make sense for me to have Seth Rollins do it.
Or I have an idea.
Balor.
I do have an alternate Undertaker idea.
What's that?
Next year rolls around, and Braun Strowman's looking for a fight, somebody to get these hands, but he says he doesn't want it to be The Undertaker. He feels bad. Undertaker's old. He's washed up. He can't go anymore. So then Taker is demanding a match with Braun Strowman, and Taker is chasing a match. That'd be the only thing I could see that'd be cool, because then if Taker's chasing that match, like, no, look, young buck, I'll put you in your damn place. Let's go. Let's square up and then go toe to toe in the squared circle and see what happens. And then you put those two in, and you make it. Maybe it's a 5.5 minute, 6 minute match. But I do like the idea that John Cena Undertaker career versus career could happen. But man, I don't know. You give John Cena the official career-ending Undertaker, fans might hate him even more.
The thing is, while the Braun thing would be cool, I want Braun in the main event next year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I vibe that.
I want him in the main event, especially for like almost like a payment towards him for, not saying that what he did this year sucked. What I'm saying is that for him making it work. Okay, congratulatory. Here's your, you're one of our guys. Obviously you look at the poster. He's one of the marquee guys on the poster. Coming up next, the returning Daniel Bryan. Shane McMahon defeated Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. If Zayn and Owen had won, they would have been rehired to SmackDown, but they did not. Of course, I really liked what they did. They attacked Daniel and Shane from behind and incapacitated Bryan and made Shane, who was legitimately hurt, by the way, that all that shit with the injuries were not fake. He was actually hurt. That's why he wasn't just selling that he was hurt. He's doesn't have to sell it. He's hurt. But he wrestled most of that match, took most of that punishment, and then Daniel comes in. Dude, how hot was this crowd for Daniel Bryan?
Woo! New Orleans remembers.
Well, no, that was earlier for Charlotte. Woo.
What?
When you said woo, like I said, no, that was earlier for Charlotte.
Oh no, I'm just saying New Orleans though, they remember, man. Like that's the crowd and the company that DB made history and wrestled 2 matches on the card and ended up winning the unit, the both titles at the time, man. Awesome match for these two. I will say that friendly resident Joe Grimes kind of pissed me off a little bit on this one, because as soon as the match started, he put in the group that we were in, like, oh, God damn it, or oh, not already, or he said some shit like that. And I was like, oh, my God, the match is already over? Like, they just put DB out? He fucking spoiled it for me, son of a bitch. And then that wasn't the case at all. I was like, okay. I literally, like, just turned my phone over, and I'm like, I'm not going to read anything else until I'm done watching this one match.
Daniel still's got, he still got it, man. He went in there, tore it up with Owens and Zayn. They did a great job of selling him, making him look like $1 million. Daniel comes in with the with the yes lock, gets the victory. They celebrate. There was no heel turn from Shane or Daniel. They're doing a storyline with Owens and Zayn, which is awesome. I love it.
You called it, by the way. You said there would be no heel turn, and it would be just a feel-good moment.
Dude, it doesn't make any damn sense to do that. Speaking of feel-good moments, dude, there's I want to go back. I talked about Charlotte. I forgot to mention this. Her entrance with the throne, with the Queen's throne, call back to when, for Triple H, but then they played the old school 2001 Space Odyssey version of Flair's music. Yeah. And because back in the day, dude, when Flair first started using that, they would play almost the whole song as a preamble for him coming out. And then he would come out the end with the pyro. And then so they did that as a preamble again for her. And then did her thing and did her little thing. And, dude, that brought tears to my eyes. Being such a big Flair fan. And I can only imagine that blubbery fool, 16-time world champion Ric Flair, who cries at everything, was backstage balling it up, seeing his little girl out there. But I mean, that was touching to me. That was awesome. The best tribute that you could do without having him there. Call back to her old man. But also feel good going forward. Nia Jax defeated Alexa Bliss for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Kind of see why they had Charlotte retain. Because as I might have said it on the show, but I can't remember. I know I told somebody else. Doesn't make any goddamn sense in the world to have Nia lose this match after you started making fun of her for calling her fat. With all the be a bully stuff and or be a star anti-bully campaign. Having her lose here will be reminiscent of all the racial undertone stuff they did with Booker T back at 19, and Trips won that, and it's like, a guy like you shouldn't be champion. Then they're making fun of his upbringing and being a rough neighborhood and his skin color. Never said it, but man, it was kind of implied. But with this, they were outright. She's making fun of Nia for being fat, and Nia comes in. I think after the Rousey, after the Taker, and then Bryan stuff, this crowd, the energy got sucked out of it, and you definitely feel it in this match because the match wasn't bad. It was just the crowd was dead. They were kind of into it at the beginning, and then when they started going into further of the telling the story, they kind of went down. My favorite spot is when Alexa smacks Nia, and Nia does her little monster thing where she then looks at him and she looks at her and she screams in anger, and then Alexa shrieks in horror and complete she's terrified. That got a laugh from the crowd, and that got a laugh from me too. I love that spot. But then Nia gets the win. She totally beat the crap out of Mickie James to take her out of the thing because she was out there with Alexa. But then Nia gets the victory with that second rope Samoan drop. When people cry at WrestleMania, it almost makes me want to cry too, because I know what it means to them. And I know how much Nia has worked her ass off. No pun intended about her ass. I've actually mentioned here on the podcast how much I liked her ass.
Yes.
But no, she's worked her ass off to improve and get better and become a better wrestler, to make her family proud of her. And I think she's done that here. And all those emotions came back to her in that moment, because it's funny. She's in this heated rivalry where she's supposed to be so mad, and that moment she wins, she's a blubbery mess of tears. And it's anointment for sure. I don't know how long her reign's going to be, but congratulations to Nia for for standing out and being the only woman on the show to win the title, with Charlotte retaining. I mean, it especially since they put Charlotte and Asuka on earlier in the night. This is kind of like later on, but I like the match a lot, even though it kind of seemed dull. It wasn't a dull match. As I said, it was kind of a dull crowd.
Well, when you have the highs and lows that they had told up and until that point, the Nia defeating Alexa match is a little bit more. It's kind of back to reality, because the Asuka match, you're so shocked that it happens how it happens. And then the gender match, it's still a hot crowd from the last match. And then before you even got a chance to breathe, you're in the Kurt Ronda match, which is another hype mode. And then the Bludgeon Brothers come in and squash. And then before you know it, Taker's out there. So you're just like full of emotions, full of emotions, full of emotions. Here comes Daniel Bryan's return. You can't get, it's like, I feel like this is poor booking. I would have put the Nia Jax Alexa Bliss match right after the Bludgeon Brothers tag match, and then did the other two. That would have been the proper raising the bar.
But then you're also into the next match. AJ Styles defeated Shinsuke Nakamura for the second shocker of the night.
Yes.
And the crowd was hot for the intro. They were hot for them coming out. But then this match, it wasn't the Wrestle Kingdom match. This was a more slower, methodical, building up the story match. And in a way, maybe it was time constraints here, but they went 20 minutes, and it was almost like right up there with like one of the longer matches of the night. I kind of feel like they never got a chance to really get into that next gear. I feel like they were kind of getting there, and then they ended it. And yeah, no, I was shocked. We were wrong on this. AJ Styles retaining the title. I actually did the numbers just the other day with Joe. AJ Styles, as far as I'm aware, is the 9th person to ever successfully retain the WWE title at WrestleMania.
Wow.
Hulk Hogan, he did it like twice in a row. And then after Hulk Hogan, Yokozuna on a disqualification, WrestleMania 10. Diesel at 11. After that, that's Triple H at 16. Eddie at 20. And then Cena at 22. Cena at 23. Randy at 24. H at 25. Miz at 27. And then after Miz,
didn't Punk retain?
Yes, you're right.
At 28.
I actually missed at 28. I actually missed Punk. You are correct. So maybe AJ's 10. 10.
No, Ty Dillinger is 10. 10.
Yeah,
10.
I you know what? When I was talking to Joe, I totally missed Punk because for some reason I skipped over that one because of the Rock and Cena thing. But that was the next year was for the title, and that we had a title change. But yeah, AJ Styles, it kind of just both Rumble winners, both Japanese, both lost.
Weird.
And man, I'm torn. I'm torn because I wanted Shinsuke to win so bad. I'm also a huge AJ Styles fan and have been since like 2004.
I know why they did this, Brando. They did this because at the Superstar Shakeup, AJ's going to end up on Raw.
You think he's taking the belt?
I think they're going to have him take the belt over. I feel like Shinsuke is also going to end up on Raw. We're far from over with this. I wanted to keep that in mind. We're nowhere near done with this feud for these two, and I think that's the thing they're trying to build. This first match was good, slow. The next match has a little bit more personal stakes to it because of what happens at the end of this match with Shinsuke's epic turn.
Yeah. Again, unexpected. They haven't really been hinting at a Shinsuke heel turn, so for him to do it was kind of out of the blue. Another thing that I do like about this, though, Shinsuke's got one on AJ, and AJ's got one on him back. At both of their biggest shows in Japan, at Wrestle Kingdom, Shinsuke beat AJ. Over here, WrestleMania, AJ beat Shinsuke. Whether or not the match was as good as Wrestle Kingdom, no, it wasn't. It wasn't anywhere close to that.
Well, and they also only went 20 minutes as opposed to 34. Wrestle Kingdom had almost 35 minutes worth of match.
But, as I said, they didn't really have a time to get into a third gear, and the crowd was a little dead for this match, too. They would get hyped up again for the next match, mostly because of wandering in the crowd with Braun Strowman and Nicholas defeating Sheamus and Cesaro the Bar. I love Cesaro and Sheamus' entrance with the whole Mardi Gras thing, and I love when Braun destroyed it. It was fun. And then you were on the edge of your seat wondering who his partner is going to be. Is it going to be Big Show? Is it going to be Rey Mysterio? Is it going to be Michael Cole? Is it going to be Booker T?
Samoa Joe,
Saka?
yeah.
You know, Samoa Joe, Big Cass, anybody. And it's one of the referee's kids. He starts roaming the crowd looking for partners, and I'm just like, is he actually going to find somebody out there that's like, is this like a Santino Marella moment? And then he gets a kid, and I'm just like, okay, so they just made a kid a tag team champion. All right. So for a second, I thought that he was going to be picking a kid, a new partner, every single show that he goes to.
That's what I thought, too.
Of course, they don't do that. We'll talk about Raw in a minute. But the crowd's hot for Strowman.
Oh, duh.
So, I mean, Cesaro and Sheamus, hats off to him for doing the for doing the job here. I love like the prodding at them for losing at it. The next night, Kurt's like, "You guys lost to a 10-year-old." He's like, they're like, "What?" There's even I saw somebody who was reviewing the show said, "How funny would it be to see like Cesaro dressed up like a kid out in the crowd, trying to get picked?" Like all these shenanigans that they could have done. But you know what? It is what it is. It was a little disappointing, but the crowd was hot for it. What they were not hot for was the main event. Brock Lesnar, in the third shocker of the night, defeated Roman Reigns.
Beat the shit out of him. Oh, my God.
In a match that was nowhere near as good as their 31 match. You were here with me to watch that match, and I was, like, sold at that moment. Like, if they were going to anoint Roman that night, like, that Roman-Brock match was really freaking good, really rough, and awesome. This one was not. This one was just repetitive as fuck. And I got tired of it. The crowd did not want to see this match. They were not into Roman. They were not into Brock either. They were chanting CM Punk. They were chanting Beach Ball Mania. At one point, there were beach balls in the crowd. You don't notice this because they didn't shoot them. And every time you would hear random cheering and booing is when they would get a ball, and then the booing is when they would get it taken away. There were chants of, "This is awful.
This is awful."
And they've been working for an entire year, more than, to make it mean something when someone kicked out of an F5.
It didn't mean shit, Brandon.
And the crowd did not every time. And he hit
6.
He kicked out of 5
F5s,
F5s, and each time he did it, the crowd cared less and less. The best part of it, you almost had me with the finish when Brock hardwayed Roman like he did Orton. And they don't do blood anymore. Every once in a while, the Blue Moon stuff that they do, I mean, this was almost Roman's Austin 316 moment where he had that crimson mask. And they were talking up that fiery Samoan blood. He's getting pissed off, and he's gonna go for broke. And he's going to hit it, right? And I'm like, all right, this is the finish. This is what they're going to do. And then he's going to be the bloody crimson dude. And it's like, all right, tough guy. Withstood everything Brock had to do, and he's going to get the win. And then he gets caught. and pinned. And I was laying in bed, one eye open after midnight watching this goddamn thing. It's a 7-hour fucking mess of a pay-per-view. It's not a mess. It was a good show. I'm just ranting because I was so tired the next day. But that woke me the fuck up. And I was like, huh? And I was like shaking my head going, like, what? And
it
then
was definitely a shocker.
Well, I mean, and the crowd popped mostly because it was over, and also because they didn't do what everybody and their mom expected. So
that was the underlying theme for this WrestleMania, not what you expected.
Yeah.
Across the board, none of these things. I mean, not across the board, but for the most part, most of these matches you could not have accurately predicted the finish because we tried.
Yeah, no.
We even tried from the place of saying this is what should happen. And if I would have went with my fucking what I wanted to have happen, I probably would have done slightly better. Maybe not perfect, but really Seth Rollins, I want him to win. You know, I guess that's probably one of the only ones I'd really change. And of course, I don't mind Brock winning. It's weird. I feel like the greatest Rumble ever, which we're gonna talk about our coverage and how that's all gonna happen in a minute, but the greatest Rumble ever coming, and then the fallout from Mania here being that they're gonna have a rematch in a steel cage. Find that on a Raw.
We also find out that Brock and Vince got into it, and
oh yeah.
There were rumors galore about what it was about, and the most concrete one that I can feel is that Lesnar was pissed off about the fan reaction. Vince was pissed off about the blood. Apparently, that was ad-libbed, greatly ad-libbed. I mean, I feel like that added another level. And they sold. Of course, they posted the black and white pictures all over Raw the next night. But. Yeah, apparently, but Brock signed a new deal, a multi-year deal, which allows him to fight. Apparently, he's going to have a UFC fight by the end of the year. So he is going back to UFC, and he's going to be sticking around. But it's like, where do we go? What do we do? Apparently, they still want to make Roman Reigns the champ, but I really feel like Roman Reigns is just a guy that. He's main evented the last 4 Manias, and they're still trying to make him the guy. When
he's the Buffalo Bills of wrestling.
When John main evented WrestleMania 21, it wasn't for sure whether or not him or Batista was going to be the guy. It was going to be one of those two,
and it was both.
And it was with a resounding it was John. It was no question that going into the next year it was definitely John. But when they anointed Austin, he was already kind of the guy.
So then who? Okay, let's ask this question. And I have my opinion. I'm sure you have yours. I think I'm going to go on a limb and say I think I know who yours is. And maybe we agree on this. But really, if you're going to crown the guy to win the Universal title, it needs to be one of two names: Samoa Joe or Braun Strowman. Think about last year and the matches they had against Lesnar in their various matchups. Now give them a year more experience to take that belt from him. It might be really epic to do, man.
Now, Strowman should be the guy. Strowman should be champ now. That's my opinion. Especially with him doing all this stuff to further and take chances with his character. He is now a full-fledged babyface. There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
Him doing the whole comedy bits, it's working. He's a naturally funny guy.
And, people welcome him with open him with welcome arms.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as far as who should be the guy to represent the company, if it's not Braun, Seth.
Seth for sure.
I think Seth is and another guy who should be a top dude, whether or not you got 2 titles. When you're talking about guys who should be champion, I've been saying it for over a year. Miz should be WWE champion or Universal champion. He should be the guy. He should be the heel. Whoever is the next big heel run should be the Miz. And he has done so much work. He has improved his work tenfold over the last 10 years. It's crazy. The Miz now is ready to headline a Mania, whereas like maybe the Miz in 2011 he was almost there. He didn't have that next level, but this Miz that we're seeing now, he's definitely like Hall of Fame material. So do you want to go into the next night and talk about some of the fallout, because we got some new debuts, we got some call ups,
couple call ups, we got losing of returning of some gold that's going to create another opportunity. Of course, it's no surprise we're at the end of WrestleMania. The quote unquote last season of WrestleMania is now, or wrestling is now over. We're into the new chapter, which means it's time for a superstar shakeup. There is a lot of stuff here to do, Brando. However, I am going to request a mic mid-show. Are you there? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
I need to go take a mic.
Oh! I thought you meant a microphone.
My bad. I should probably be more
like,
clear when we're podcasting. That was a little confusing, folks.
I'm like...
My bad. I was trying to be coy about it.
Yeah, no. Go relieve yourself. Trust me. This show's going almost as long as WrestleMania. So, man, what would I give Mania? I definitely don't think Mania was a bad show. I kind of feel like the last, 3 matches, maybe 4, because, again, I don't think that the Nia Jax or, the women's title or the WWE title, I don't really feel like they're bad matches. I just kind of feel like the crowd kind of died there. And, you almost have, a great show going on until you get to that point, and they're kind of tired. I don't know if I'd put it over last year's show, because I feel like last year's show was almost as perfect as you're going to get. Or, 30 and 31 were also really good, but I kind of felt like 32 was kind of a stumble. But then again, they kind of had the cards going against them there. So, going into Raw, we had, kick off the show with the hottest match, Rousey and Stephanie. Stephanie acting like she's kind of humbled, and she's going to come in with Rousey and, give her a hug and, welcome to the company. You sure showed me kind of thing. And Rousey's not buying any of that. And, man, locks her right back in that armbar again and tears a few more ligaments. Rousey's, dude, the crowd, when she first came in, seemed like the crowd was, they weren't booing her, but they were maybe weren't so sure about her. And I feel like that her performance in that tag match, how she and if I have one critique for Rousey in that tag match, she just needs to slow down a little bit. There was a spot where she was doing with Stephanie where she was going to do this little tilt-a-whirl or under the arm type thing, grab and then slam, and she kind of went a little too fast and had to kind of correct herself. So, first match, 70,000 people, I can understand kind of getting lost up in the moment, but that's my only critique for that match, is that Ronda, starting off at least, she was going a little too fast. But I feel like after that match, the fans have embraced her, and she's going to be a top draw, which is why for 35, WrestleMania 35, going back to New York area where where this whole thing began, except you're going back to MetLife and not the Garden. Man, end it with Rousey and Charlotte for sure. Oh. Yeah,
I'm back.
Nate's coming back. So yeah, Nate, I already covered the first segment of Raw with Rousey tearing some more ligaments.
Friends with Stephanie, not.
Yep, nope, not friends.
Yep, not.
No way, dude. No way, Jose.
Oh yeah, you know what we also did not mention? I can't believe we didn't actually fucking mention the brilliant finish of the Gargano Ciampa match with the knee brace.
Yes. I mean, we didn't talk about it, but...
My bad. I just realized it. But yeah, No Way Jose debuts. Who did he face?
Local.
Local.
He hit 2 moves and pinned him.
And
now somebody
of course, the
has
Rosebuds. Rosebuds
right.
are back.
Well, yeah, he does the whole conga line entrance, and somebody has said that for the greatest Rumble ever, when he comes out for the greatest Rumble, that when he gets in the ring, he gets everybody in the ring to do a conga line around the ring, because he's all like, "Let's party," and everyone's like. And then they all shrug their shoulders, and they all go ahead and do a couple laps around the ring just to do it. And then finally somebody like clotheslines somebody, and they all start fighting again. I think that'd be hilarious. I laughed pretty hard when I read that. Yeah, so No Way Jose debuted. After the Rousey and Steph thing, I want to say like Nia Jax came out.
Yeah, it was two because they did 2 back-to-back segments starting off strong with the ladies of Raw.
And then Nia came out and was at one point I thought she was going to cry again because the crowd was really hot for her and chanting for her.
You deserve it. Yeah,
they chanted that a lot Monday night. That chant's almost wearing thin on me. It's like you hear it almost every single time. But, Alexa and Mickey come out, and they're saying that she doesn't have anybody who's willing to team with her. And, yes, she does. Ember Moon. And I'm like, hell yeah! All right, never before am I so glad to be wrong, because I'm glad that she's on the main roster, and she got a hell of a pop. Picked up the win there for them, and then I'm trying to remember as the night went on. Of course, we had No Way Jose. We had Seth come out to do a segment. Finn's like, I want to challenge you there for that Intercontinental title, and then. Miz comes out, and Miz is back to his old heel ways.
He's like, no, I'm challenging you at Backlash.
And so then
did you notice the spoiler, by the way? WWE fucked up, and there was a spoiler on TV.
Was there?
Uh-huh. So, first commercial break. Advertisement for Greatest Rumble. Also, Intercontinental match. Miz versus Finn versus Seth versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, really?
Who hadn't yet returned. Yes, I was like, how did no one catch that? I was like, well, he's definitely coming back tonight. There's no question. He has to be in the building somewhere.
So then, he's like, well, we could do a tag match, us 3 versus you 2. And then right before they get ready to throw down, Jeff Hardy comes out and gets a huge pop. And that sets up a match for later on.
They had a great backstage segment with those 3 and 2 others.
Woken Matt and Bray are there, and then Woken Matt's like, and he's like, I've been trying to contact you. He's like, I guess I sent you a voicemail. It must have been deleted. And then Bray's like, Brother Nero. And then Jeff's kind of playing along with it, and I love how like Seth and Finn are looking at Jeff, and they're like, "What was that about?" And Jeff's like, he shrugs. And I think that was a soft breakup. I think that is like they're gonna move Jeff off to another show, let Matt kind of do his own thing without Jeff, because I think that they see Jeff as a bankable star by himself. Obviously, former WWE and World Heavyweight Champion. I would love for Jeff to be involved with the Woken universe or Broken, whatever they're doing. Maybe there's still room for that, but let Matt grow. And, I would love to see Matt grow all the way up into a big singles title run, if that's possible. But maybe he won't go that far. But let's just let them kind of go off, and let's do their own thing, and maybe he'll come back around later, especially if if Jeff wins a big singles title. Whether it's the WWE Universal title within the next year or so, who knows where that may go with him being in the picture.
It'd be dope to just have Matt challenge him outright.
Well, then, because then you could circle back. And while you've had Jeff not do anything with him for a long time, and all of a sudden it's like, now it's time to start doing something with him. And maybe you have Matt win it from him, and then you have like this Woken universe getting expanded. Like, whatever.
Okay, I have a curious question. What if they made Jeff pull double duty? Jeff Hardy and Brother Nero both.
Oh gosh, man! I don't know if I want to see him do that.
Like when he's around Matt, he becomes broken or woken, as it were, just because it's like this spell that's cast upon him or some shit, And then like when he's not, He's just himself. So like at pay-per-views and shit, for some reason he can morph himself back into Brother Nero if he's around Matt. But then when he's not on the same show, he's two different guys. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's a lot of work, and I think people will get confused.
Could.
But, yeah, so this next return got spoiled because somebody took a picture of one of the computers at Raw. Somebody got in the building early and leaked out a picture. When you're in the arena, they have like this little row of like where they have like people working the Titantrons and the music and stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And they had somebody take a picture of the computer screen and the Titantron that said Bobby Lashley.
Oh, I didn't know that got spoiled.
Yeah, like about maybe like an hour before the show that got sent out. So Elias from the live crowd, this crowd's hot for Elias, man, and he's trying to heal him. And it's funny because you could tell he is just eating this up. Like him as a person, him as a wrestling fan, him like he is the heel and he still does his job, but there for a second you could just see a look on his face like, God damn, this is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then of course he gets interrupted by the returning Bobby Lashley. Gets a hell of a pop. Bobby Lashley goes in there, hits the longest vertical suplex of all time, slams him down with authority. Bobby Lashley's now back in the WWE.
That's crazy. That was actually a shock to me. I will say one thing about Elias's thing that was super amazing is he's singing his song, and in it he says something like, just like the crowd last night, you guys are scumbags. And the crowd starts chanting, we are scumbags. We are scumbags. I was like, man, that crowd is nuts. And I will say one thing I hate about the Raw after Mania is the forced, well, this is a very impassioned crowd from all over the international globe.
And it's so weird, man. They cheer people they normally boo, and they boo people they normally. I hate that. I fucking hate that.
They're cheering the people they actually want to cheer. You guys are actually hearing real wrestling fans.
Yes,
that's the fucking difference.
Welcome to the night after Mania. That is a return to the Attitude Era.
Thank you.
As far as like the level of passion of fans. And nowadays they're telling you this is weird. Trust me, that's been bugging me for the last 5 years. I've hated it. I hate it, hate it, hate it. And I'm trying to remember what happened next on the show. I don't remember.
Well, we also have a backstage segment with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Kurt Angle.
Because that was the Kurt thing. After the Lashley thing, because that's when he said that TNA's hiring.
Yep, which is because obviously there's this position open. And it's funny because they can call it TNA all day long, and they're not going to get in trouble. Because that doesn't exist anymore.
Impact.
We are Impact. Yep. There's not a TNA anymore. So
yeah, because Impact Wrestling reacted to it. They that night they tweeted out hashtag We Are Impact, and then the next day they said two guys showed up with some resumes and some donuts, and
did they really?
Yeah, they posted a picture like some donuts. Yeah. So like they were playing up the fact that Sami and Owens showed up trying to get a job.
I kind of like that. You know what? I will say that about one thing I want in the future of wrestling coming out of this weekend. More inclusion. Austin Aries was at during the Kenny King Silas Young match. Austin Aries, the collector of gold, he's got like 5 titles right now. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, but he was color commentating ringside. Or, well, not ringside. They're actually kind of like how Raw does, but I digress. Anyways, and it was cool to see a dude who is an Impact Wrestling champ, the world champ over there, as it were, do something like this other spot. And it made me think, like, God, I would love that if, like, more wrestling was like that, you know? Like, if the Bullet Club would have showed up and WWE would have let them in that fucking building, or if they would have made it an angle, if they would have teased or made a joke on it and something, it makes it bigger. Make wrestling bigger so everybody's in on it, and then you can fucking have your little inner turmoil bullshit that can happen.
Well, see, I always wanted when Punk left with the title, I wanted him to go to New Japan I wanted him to go to Ring of Honor with the belt and act like he wasn't really a member of the WWE roster anymore, and then have them like book him in matches where you're working the internet fans. You're working them into a frenzy with this Punk dude because they love him, and then you can have him come back. Because I would have had Punk, not to digress on this, I would have had Punk leave in July and not return until Survivor Series. Like, I would have kept him out for that entire time. Him making appearances in other companies, him doing like the Chicago Cubs, him doing going to Comic-Con and calling them out, and then him showing back up, and then you have him as champion, and then you have Cena as champion or whoever, and then you could actually build that into a champion versus champion match. Of course, they were going for Cena Rock too, which whatever. But how cool would that have been to have been a Mania match to crown an undisputed champion, instead of just the SummerSlam. Anyway, who else came back? Oh, Joe. We had Roman Reigns coming out there. He's like, I'm going to beat him if I face him again. Every time I do, I'm going to get one step closer. And Joe's like,
you're a failure. I loved that.
Every time you get in there, you're like exposing yourself.
Yeah, that's Brock Lesnar didn't beat you last night, Roman. He exposed you. I loved that. I was like, fuck yeah. Of course, my opinion, this is probably what's going to happen, Brando, and run with me if you will here. This is just what I would do. You're probably going to have some superstar shakeup. One thing we learned from last year's superstar shakeup, if there are any matches or anything that are put in place before the shakeup happens, those matches will go through regardless if you're up for a title, and then whoever ends up walking away with those titles stays on said show, and the other person's gets shipped over.
Right. Okay. So, like, going forward, and they announced it with Backlash, they're going to be co-branded. So, if we do the crossover, and say there's rumors of AJ going to Raw, if Roman goes to SmackDown.
Ooh.
All of a sudden, SmackDown doesn't have a belt, but Roman has a match to win a belt at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Oh, and then he can bring the Universal title over. Would they change the strap to blue?
They have to. Come on, man.
Oh, it'd kind of be dope, right? It would kind of be badass.
Well, because, remember, they were like, well, we're going to change the WWE strap to blue, and then they never did. So with the Universal belt, absolutely do that. Yeah, change that strap to blue. Anyway, the Greatest Royal Rumble, because we had some SmackDown stuff happen. Before we get to the Greatest Royal Rumble, we also didn't mention this on Raw. Paige retired.
Oh, yeah, Paige retired. One other thing to mention. Okay, so Paige retired, which was, you know what? It's sad, but can I say something, Brando? I'm going to kind of sound like a dick right now. Was she fucking drugged up out of her mind, or does she have a wonky-ass eye or something? Because the Wrestling With My Family clip that we saw all weekend when she was, like, hyping it with a certain somebody in a hoodie, let's just say The fucking Rock, man.
Well, the part that got me is that they didn't cut it to go, hey, guys, Paige here. They made it go like this, like, and that to me got me. It was like, and like her lips look so big.
So it's like she didn't do her. I don't know. It was, I couldn't tell if she was. I'm not trying to be shitty, but it just looked like she was maybe drugged up a little bit. And of course you're gonna be fucked up and sad. Also, we must not forget that Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt embarked themselves on an expedition of gold, entering themselves in the 4-way tag title
tournament type thing, because then Braun and Nicholas had to forfeit the titles because there's a scheduling conflict with Nicholas. Of course, he's still in the 4th grade. I love
the tag team eliminator. That's what Angle called it. The tag team eliminator.
The Revival beat the Club, and then Woken Matt and Bray beat Titus Worldwide, Titus and Apollo. So now next week it's going to be a Revival versus Bray and Matt.
I see Bray and Matt winning.
Absolutely, 100%.
Fuck the Revival. That's a Bullet Club thing.
So Paige retired, and then the next night of SmackDown was made the new general manager because Brian put in his resignation because he's back on the roster full time.
Full Force Wrestling. That's amazing.
And the match was made AJ versus Bryan.
Also, one thing to note, did you hear the rumor of who was going to be SmackDown GM?
Yeah.
Double J.
Yeah, and they didn't do it. They went with Paige. I kind of like that. At the same time, it's like I have a hard time understanding Paige. Like it just seems like this weekend she sounded very nasally.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to understand her. But, I'm happy for her because, I mean, obviously this was taken away from her sooner than what she wanted. So it's almost that same story again with Bryan. And, I hope that maybe she can return one day. However, the injury she has is more akin to, like, Edge's injury. Where, like, she's
spinal stenosis.
So, like, if she takes a wrong bump, she could get paralyzed. So...
That's what made her get pre-retired, when she took a heavy bump from Sasha that fucking nearly paralyzed her at a house show.
Yep. So we also saw the iconic duo make their debut during Charlotte's promo, beat her up, and then a cash-in. We have a new SmackDown Women's Champion, Carmella.
Carmella.
I don't know why I said Naomi. Carmella finally cashed in and got the belt, souring the big victory from Charlotte, but also opening it up for Charlotte to go to Raw.
A lot of things get opened up here, Brando. Because my thought is this. Yeah, you got Carmella who won, but you know who can easily beat Carmella? Asuka. Asuka also has heat with Nia Jax. They had that feud before she chose not to challenge Alexa for the title. So what would I do? Here's the way I would play this. And I think I've said this before, something to this effect, before Asuka actually made her debut on the main roster. Have Carmella cash in. She did. Have her win the title. She did. So now have Asuka beat Carmella. No one else can beat Asuka. And then you have her go on another hot streak for a while. Doesn't have to be the same thing, but, it allows Carmella to fight for something, and maybe you do eventually recrown her champ. But just giving her the belt now and then having her defend against a lot of people that I'm certain can kick her ass on the SmackDown roster. Natalya, I mean, she's not the most believable long-term champ.
No.
So you have to figure a way out of that, and I think it is through Asuka maybe, but I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. Uncertain.
So we also had some steps to try and set up the matches over for the Greatest Rumble. So what we're going to do is go right out of SmackDown, because not a lot happened on SmackDown. We had some carrying forward from some of the storylines. We had the debut of the iconic duo. I don't know if anybody else came back, or I can't remember.
No, nothing really crazy like that. They furthered Shinsuke's storyline with some more heelishness, but we're going to find our way over to Jeddah with a little bit of a preview for the Greatest Rumble, Brando. Let's see, matches.
So,
what has been announced? Wow, there's a lot of shit that's actually been announced.
Undertaker versus Rusev in a casket match.
What?
That was announced today, and Rusev tweeted out. He said, "Bury me softly, brother." But then John Cena versus Triple H has already been announced. The Cruiserweight Championship match, currently on Wikipedia, says TBD versus TBD. Good old TBD Yoga represent.
Buddy Murphy, though.
Yeah, possibly. You're going to see Cedric Alexander versus Buddy Murphy. Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Champs. Cesaro and Sheamus probably versus Matt and Bray, let's be honest. United States Championship match. Who won that match last night?
That would have been Orton.
So,
because he hit the RKO out of nowhere on Bobby and pinned him clean.
Okay, so then if they're going to go forward with it, then it's going to end up being Jinder versus Orton.
Okay.
WWE Championship match: AJ versus
Shinsuke.
Probably Shinsuke, or you could do an actual championship match with the Yes Maniac. Maybe. It all depends, because there's going to be 50 people in this damn Royal Rumble. I don't know if they want to double book that many people. The ladder match for the IC belt, you already kind of said it. Seth Rollins versus Balor versus Miz versus Joe. And then, of course, the steel cage match for the WWE Universal title, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. And
this is why our show can't be over, Brando.
And then you have the greatest Rumble match, the 50-man Royal Rumble, which I would love to see whoever wins this also get a title shot or get something. Notice that there are no women matches because Saudi Arabia is not allowing any of the women to compete. But that's it is what it is. They definitely have a pretty stacked card here. This show, all right, so this show is going to be taking place on Friday, April 27th. And it'll be airing live on the network at noon Eastern time.
Wow, 11 a.m. That's crazy.
So 11 for you. The pre-show starts at 11 a.m. And so I'll be at work, unfortunately, while this is going on. So Jeff,
here's a list of names, Brando.
For the Rumble?
People that have announced their entry. 20 of the 50 entrants have been announced as of April 11th. That's today. So Daniel Bryan, Big Show, Kane, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, Kurt Angle, Apollo, Titus O'Neil, Elias, Goldust, Baron Corbin, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Shelton Benjamin, Chad Gable, Sin Cara, Mojo Rawley, Dolph Ziggler, and Chris Jericho.
All right,
because we will find out who the real Ayatollah of rock and roll is in Saudi Arabia.
I get it. So, what we've kind of been planning, guys, is this was going to be our season finale, DandyMania. We were going to go off for the summer, but we're going to do one more. We're going to cover the shakeup. We're going to cover the greatest Royal Rumble, and then we're going to be off for the summer and take a little bit of a break. But we're going to try and predict. Okay, so after the shakeup, after the Rumble and Backlash, it's where are we going? Where SummerSlams are in goal, so we're going to try and play stuff. If something big happens, of course we're going to cover it. We're going to make sure that you guys can find out where to hear that at, whether it's on our Facebook or our Twitters. We're definitely not going to be away. We're just going to be we need to see other podcasts. We need to take a break.
Yeah, we just need to go visit with other podcasts and give them time and nurturing. I do 4 and maybe really 7 podcasts now. So
yeah, right.
Taking a break from one is not bad. But I just felt like this is the first year that coming out of WrestleMania, it's not like we're going right back into the same. Here comes Backlash. Here comes Extreme Rules. Here comes Payback. It's they kind of change it up, bringing this Greatest Rumble event because it's that's something cool to really talk about and give us some hype mode and whatnot.
Yeah, and I loved it. I love it with the network that they can do these cool little big special events that are in other countries where they normally don't like doing pay-per-views with big time differences, and it's it's gonna start at noon. It's who cares, man? That's awesome. That's something that's neat and unique. I remember when they did that Beast from the East event in Japan.
Yeah, and that aired at 2 in the morning, right?
No, it was 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning. I was wrong.
Or something like that, because I remember it was around the 4th of July, and I was actually off work, and I was able to, I think I was on seconds at the time, so I wouldn't be able to see it, but it was awesome, because I think that was when Finn beat Kevin Owens for the NXT title, and it's just really neat. But basically, I kind of want to talk about who's going to win this Royal Rumble match and if it's going to mean anything, because there's one guy who wins this.
Okay. Braun Strowman.
Yeah, Braun Strowman. You could give Brian a cool yay moment, but to me, Braun Strowman wins this, and it sets him up against supposedly Joe is already going up against Reigns at Backlash, which may be for the Universal title. Probably will be. Let's be honest here. I think they're going to anoint Roman over there.
I think that makes sense. I really do.
So
because it'll be the third, right? This will be the blow-off match.
Yeah.
Because you had 31, where really it's actually more than that because it wasn't Reigns involved in a fatal four-way too.
SummerSlam last year, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, one-on-one, you have 31, which 31 didn't get a resolve because of Rollins, and then you have this past year, which Brock won, so then Roman to win. I kind of think that's where they're going, and how cool would it be to have Roman go to SmackDown, even though they, to me, like Vince, this is his guy, damn it, but I kind of feel like somebody said it, and I can't remember who said it, but like Roman Reigns is the modern day Lex Luger. He keeps trying, and he just never can get over the way that they want him to get over. And at this point, the fans are never going to accept him the way that they want him to accept him. So him being on Raw, it doesn't really matter. He's not going to be the ratings. He doesn't drive the ratings in for Raw. So swapping him and AJ over would be kind of cool because then you can really like showcase some other people with the WWE title, whether that be Braun or Samoa Joe or Shinsuke if you move him too, or Jeff Hardy or Rollins if you don't move him. You can put other people in the mix. And meanwhile, over on SmackDown, if you have Roman, you can have him against Jinder. You have him against Orton. You have him against Bobby. It depends on who gets moved and when and where and how and why. So
one last thing we should maybe predict. We have 30 names that have not been announced for this Rumble. I feel like there are some NXT call-ups. I feel like there are some other big names that are on the roster that haven't yet got put into this. There are also some returning names. I think that somebody who's going to return at this thing, if they don't get drafted next week, is Big Cass.
Probably
He'll be an entrant at the Rumble.
I also see them having people who wrestled before this be in it as well.
Andrade Cien Almas will show up at the Rumble for sure.
Yeah, sure, I'm down. But I could definitely see Cena making an appearance in this. I can see,
Rusev?
Yeah,
Rusev
Rusev will get buried. So, but depending on how everything goes, maybe Taker makes an appearance. You could easily do Bobby Roode. Is Bobby Roode scheduled for the Royal Rumble match?
As of right now, no.
Okay, so Bobby Roode's going to be in there because he's. I mean, you could easily even do like the Club and Balor, and you could do the Miztourage and the Miz and Joe and all these guys in the undercard could definitely come back for that. If Ray's in the company, sure, go for it. If he's ready to go and signed. So
Lashley definitely going to be in this.
Lashley, if he's going to be, we don't know what kind of deal Lashley has. I mean, I have no doubt. Okay, so the Lashley video of him debuting or re-debuting already has over 4 million views on YouTube.
Wow.
So if I were WWE, he's a guy I'm looking at. Like, if Roman is not getting over the way that Vince wants him to, and you're looking at, like, okay, so one reason why Vince wanted Lesnar to stay, because Vince sees Lesnar and Rousey as his two bankable stars. His two people who draw.
Yes.
He's not wrong. He is not wrong. But I'm looking at Lashley to be that guy too. He has that crossover appeal, so he's a legitimate badass. He's jacked, looks great on a poster, and he comes off as a genuinely nice guy. So it is what I mean. When you're looking at a guy who's going to win a title this year,
maybe.
Yeah, Lashley's a dude to look at, man.
I tell you, and it'd be cool if they want to. The way to do that is, Roman's the guy, as everyone doesn't want. Make him the guy for a short time, and then have Lashley kind of go a little more heel and beat the shit out of Reigns, and then put him out, and then take the title from him. And then, if you want to get real crazy, by this time next year, the main event of Mania could totally be Lashley Lesnar.
Possibly, yeah.
And that would be an interesting thing. They both have an MMA background. Of course, Lesnar way the fuck more successful.
Sure.
They both are world champs in the company a couple times over in various platforms. They never worked together.
No.
Because Lesnar was out of the company 3 years before Lashley debuted.
Yep, and then Lashley was gone before Lesnar even came back.
Yep. So
yeah, they just kind of miss each other. Yeah, no, and I know Lashley wants it. Lashley wants to get in there and rough it up with Lesnar for sure.
Can he make it? Can we make a shirt for Bobby Lashley that says Bobby Lashley, big muscles, tiny voice,
little mouth,
little mouth? Yes, big muscles, little mouth.
Silent Rob used to do like his impression of Bobby Lashley's mouth, and it was the most funniest thing. He would just like, dude ate so many sour grapes or whatever, like so many Sour Patch Kids, like. Well, of Lashley trying to do a mean face, and his mouth gets so small. No offense to Lashley. I think he's a pretty decent worker. I think he's improved a lot, especially with his time in other companies, and him being pretty successful at doing almost everything that he's tried to do, except for be a big top guy in WWE because he left, before. But we're getting on almost WrestleMania length of a show here, so I think it's about time for us to go home, wrap it up,
get this dandy on the road,
pull this dandy in.
Oh, he's definitely making it into the 50 Greatest Man Rumble, the dandy.
Oh, the dandy's going in for sure. If the dandy doesn't go over, I'll eat my dandy.
Ooh, TBD also definitely making it into the Rumble.
I've heard the Dandy's going to start teaming up with TBD to help promote TDB Yoga. I've heard it's really helped Dandy with his back pain, and it's really helped prolong his career. He's pretty much down to only 10% pain, so 90% pain free for.
Oh, that's
for the
great
Dandy.
For the Dandy. I'm just curious. Do you think Nicholas will be a late entrant into this Rumble?
Nicholas might actually make an appearance in this Rumble. He's already they were during the Lesnar Reigns match, they were chanting, "We want Nicholas."
He's over.
He is over, man.
He's over like Dean Ambrose's plant.
Oh my God, I remember Dean Ambrose's plant. That shit was funny as shit. Oh man,
didn't Jericho destroy it?
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, I loved that. That was a great bit. Maybe Dean's still too far out, right? When was he injured?
He was injured like right before Christmas, but from what I hear, he's kind of had a regression.
Oh shit!
That's why he was pulled from Access. Apparently, might have to go get more work done. So,
whoa. Well, Godspeed to you, Mr. Dean Ambrose. As always, folks, check out the Journey into Comics Network. JourneyIntoComics.com. You can get us on all the different podcasting apps, whether it's iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music. We are now on Spotify, along with our brethren at the Game Addicts Podcast, who are also on Spotify. You can get them on all the same things. That's Brando's other show. As always, folks, go to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/JourneyIntoComics. That's where you can get $1 early access, get all of our shows as soon as they're edited and uploaded, or for $3. You can get early access and exclusive content. The road to Infinity War is swiftly coming to a close here, as we are almost time for that movie to be dropping. And then a bunch of other cool specials and new shows and stuff are going to be coming out. Brando's got one that just debuted a couple weeks ago called The Podcast Menace. If you are into Star Wars, that's the show for you. Him and Tyler from Podcastrophe kicking that show. Oh, I got a little bit of a mic cut out there. So let me try to say that again. That show kicks lots of ass. If you like,
don't touch your microphone this time.
No, dude, this cable's really jacked. I didn't realize it was that bad. I just touched the cable on the table. Oh damn! All right, folks. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking out another episode of Journey into Wrestling. This is Season 2, Episode 16, DandyMania. As always, I've been Nate.
I've been Brando.
And you guys have just been too sweet. Later.